Welcome back to an episode of Hey Balla. I have a question. We're up to number 7, moving slowly but surely. And this is actually going to be the first one of chapter 2, so I'm pretty excited about that because it means we have a long season of content and stuff to learn about. So cannot wait. If you're unfamiliar with what the show is, it's where I take your questions. You can submit them anytime in the form of voice, and I try to answer them. I get in depth. I go for it in terms of competitive Fortnite improvement. So today we've got a couple of questions they're mostly about improvement today. I thought we were going to get some about Chapter 2, Season 1, but we mostly didn't. So I stream this live on Twitch. If you guys are wondering, there's people in chat right now. Thank you for the host, Aurelia. I appreciate that. And with that, I think we just get into it. First question here from Ahmed.
Hey Balla, after me and my squad seeing that you had to get top 10 to get any earnings, and the prize pool for FNCS this season is way less spread out than last season, how do you keep your squad motivated and keep the morale up after seeing that only top tier pros are the most likely to be getting top 10 and getting any earnings? Thank you for answering my question. See ya.
Okay, so a question that is definitely on the minds of a lot of people. A lot of people. We're talking about the prize pool that was released yesterday, or if you're watching on YouTube, probably 2 days ago. So I think I'm not going to comment on my opinions about this or my predictions about what this means on the scene. If you want to hear about that, you can just go watch the gameplay streams every morning or just look at my Twitter, basically. So let's try to help Ahmed, and let's try to help you guys who have the same question, right? How do you keep your squad motivated when the prize pool seems to be getting lower? So the first thing I'm going to say is basically reevaluate your goals, right? What were your goals before? Was it to make money or was it to win, right? Because if it's to make money, then yeah, maybe you have to start thinking about different things. If it was to win, then we're talking. I mean, you still have that opportunity, right? That goal is still possible. Is it to be the best? Because that goal is still possible. You want to just experience the thrill of competitive Fortnite? Yes. If you do, then just go for it, right? Just go for it because it's still crazy fun. But yeah, so reevaluate your goals. Reevaluate them. It's true that Fortnite was kind of a way for people to make easy money in the past. That was clearly, to me at least, it seemed always kind of unsustainable. But if that was kind of the plan with Fortnite, the reason you were playing Fortnite, maybe this news is a signal to you. Maybe this news is a signal for you to not go for that anymore. Or it's just, you stay put, just wait till the next tournament. Maybe the next tournament will just be like another World Cup where it's 100 million next year again. So you never know. But one thing I can say for sure is, like, if a goal for you was to make money playing the game and you don't feel like it's worth it to go for top 10 because either you don't feel confident enough that you could get top 10 in one of these weekly qualifiers or qualify for the finals and make the money in the finals as well, then sit this one out, right? Sit this one out. Don't spend the 4 weeks playing with a squad. Just sit it out. There's no reason to force yourself to play something that you're not motivated to play for. But with that said, like, don't forget, every time we switch a mode, when we switch from trios to squads or duos to trios or whatever, we are lowering the amount of players, or lowering the amount. So say top 10, right? Top 10 in squads is equivalent to top 40 in solos. Think about that too. It kind of makes it seem like top 10 is completely unreachable, but in reality, it's easier than it looks. It's slightly easier. We're comparing to trios, so it's not that much of a difference, but you do have to think about it that way too. Squads is less teams, so there's more opportunity to reach those higher placements, those higher thresholds. But besides that, you still want to play. You're not stopping. This is just like to keep the motivation up. It's just time to push harder, right? Time to push harder. More is on the line in terms of placing good because it's harder to feel like you are rewarded. So you just got to push harder. There was a certain segment of the population that was of the competitive population, at least, that was they wanted to be the best. They wanted to be top 5 in every tournament that they play. They want to be like Mongrel. They want to be like Benji Fishy. They want to be like Booga. But because they were making money when they had bad placements, like objectively bad placements, top 300 or so, but they were still making money. They felt like it was okay, so they didn't change anything. They didn't change anything about their improvement method, their practice, who they play with. They didn't change anything at all. And because of that, they're satisfied. They're kind of like stuck there. And that is an issue. So this is kind of changing that now. It isn't like this in any other game, right? You don't get money for placing poorly. You don't. That's not what happens. So now we're back to kind of other things, right? If you don't place well, you're not going to do anything. This is a qualifier. But the rest of it, like, guys, if I'm this squad, Ahmed, if I'm this squad, it's like, seriously, the news doesn't affect you guys. Just ignore it. Who cares? Like, just completely ignore it. What does it matter to you? Especially if money isn't a factor for you guys. Like, just completely ignore it. Just qualify for finals and play finals. That's the end goal anyways, right? It's to play the best games possible. These open qualifier things, they don't really matter. In the grand scheme of things, playing an open qualifier, think about that. You're playing where anybody can play, and you're trying to, it's basically not even competitive Fortnite, like in reality. The only thing now with the format change is in FNCS squads, the Sunday is going to be 1 custom rather than 3 customs, and compared to World Cup, obviously that was quite different. So making it to Sunday is competitive Fortnite, but everything else, man, that's not even that. Placing top 1,000 in an open qualifier didn't mean anything. It didn't prove anything about yourself. It didn't prove that you were good. It didn't, like, even though sure the placements might have been good, it didn't prove anything, really, not at all. So ignore it. Ignore this entire thing. Ignore the formats, ignore the prizing, just qualify. At the end of the day, playing the finals is the most important thing. So focus on that, not the prizing, not anything else. Crank this guy up a little bit because I can't hear him.
Hey Balla, so basically I put in the effort to improve mechanically by doing box fights and 1v1s. I'm not against the same play, so I don't learn their playstyle. I try to practice with people about the same skill level with me, or even better than me. I practice at least 4 hours a day, including VOD reviewing, and me and my teammates' matches, but I cannot seem to get any better. I feel like I'm stuck at the same skill level, however I'm trying to maintain positive, but I cannot do so when I'm not seeing any improvement to my gameplay after hours and hours of practice.
Okay. Thank you for the submission, Vernacity. This one's about feeling stuck, right? Feeling hard stuck, even though you put the time in, even though you put the effort in to practice, to VOD review, to creative, to box fight, to zone wars, all that stuff. Solid question, and really, really relatable. Like really, really relatable. Not just to me, I'm sure it's relatable to you guys too, and to a lot of you guys watching. I certainly feel this so often, in different stages too, in different stages of my career, in Fortnite and in Counter-Strike and in all sorts of games. So really relatable question. The first thing I want to ask, and I always do this, I always ask questions to the people that I can't even talk to. But is this a slump? Is this a burnout? Or is this legitimately you feeling like you are stuck and can't improve, right? Are you just literally not improving past your peak? You're sitting there, you're fine, you're at your peak, but you just can't break through the ceiling. Is that it? Because we talked about slumps and burnouts quite a bit, I think, in one of our first 2 episodes. Just basically like staying motivated, how to not burn out, that sort of thing. Because they're kind of the same answers to both. But like let's refresh basically, because slumps and burnouts I would definitely treat differently than like not being able to break through with my improvement, because I'm just at the peak of my game, right? So if it's a slump would be like where you're actually feeling worse than you've been. So you were good, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're bad. That would be what a slump is. A burnout would be where you grind so hard that you're mentally drained. And even though you still probably pretty good and you might be improving, you feel like you aren't, and you are exhausted basically all the time. That's what I would consider burnout. For those two situations, I'd almost definitely recommend taking a break just overall, and either taking a break completely and quitting for a week or so, or 2 weeks, depending on how long you need. Everybody's going to need different times, but or take a break from your practice routine, for example. Stop box fighting and 1v1ing, or maybe box fight and 1v1 with people who are worse than you, or people that you're just having fun with. Maybe start zone warsing with like a lot of your real life friends who might not take the game as serious as you, and just like do stupid fun stuff, like just crank for height forever. Don't care if you get knocked out. It's just funny. Just laugh, right? I think we went in depth about breaking through this and like playing other games and, playing normals with weird skins, just emote on everybody, talk a bunch of crap. Remember, yeah, exactly. Like Jacoby just said in chat, it's just a game. It is just a game. So yeah, take a break. I'm not necessarily saying, obviously, like you play competitively, it's more than that to you. It's more than just a game. But you can treat it. You can treat it that way. Have some fun. But like, I think the more interesting part is if you actually feel like you can't improve higher than your potential, which is very interesting to me, because that's kind of where I felt I was when I was taking this game a little serious, was I couldn't actually improve. And how I broke out of that was I made sure that I continued to learn new things. There's a point where, especially when I was in my creative 1v1s, recently even, where I noticed that I wasn't getting better at my creative 1v1s, or I was like still okay. I was good, but it didn't feel like I was improving. And the whole reason was that I just stopped learning. I legit stopped learning. I stopped. When I saw something that Booga did, I didn't write it down. I didn't look at it. I didn't try it. I didn't do anything. I just did the same old habits. Double ramp out, 90-90, cone myself, edit, like all that stuff. I just did it forever and ever and ever, and I never improved. I never learned anything new. So yeah, I stopped. I just felt stuck. So make sure you're learning new things, right? Learn when you see that thing, that dimmadome cone with the wall, like figure out how you can actually learn it. Write it down, go try it, go use it. Make sure you use it in real situations. And then the other thing is like continue perfecting things. Perfecting things meaning like whenever you spot an error in something that you do constantly. You make a certain edit, or you make a double edit or something like that. Go for it. Try it. And if you if you notice those errors, fix it is what I meant to say. Fix it. Don't let it sit there. If you scuff a build, if you are constantly Harry Pottering yourself on something that you've been doing forever, like every once in a while, maybe even like it's a 5% of the time you're Harry Pottering yourself on your 90s or something. I'm giving a really basic example. If you're Harry Pottering yourself on your 90s, you shouldn't be doing that anymore, guys. Fix it, please. But like, yeah, even some more advanced stuff, right? If you mess up a phase sway every once in a while because you miss placing the first stair, for example, you should fix that issue. There's something I do all the time where I do my booga side jump, and then I start scissor ramping, and I place I place a floor at the top of it for whatever reason. Why do I do that? You have to analyze that, figure out why you do that, and stop doing it. Like, seriously, stop doing it. Yeah, target those things and fix them. Sorry, I'm just looking over my notes, seeing what else I want to talk about this, or at least what I plan to talk about. The other thing that I heard from your question was that there wasn't any overarching theme to why you thought you weren't improving. I think that's an issue. That's an issue right there. Whether it was a slump or a burnout or improvement, it didn't feel like you didn't say anything about like, oh yeah, my early game sucks, or I lose height a lot, or I can't finish fights, or when it ends up in a box fight, I always push into some, like there's literally nothing in your question that indicated to me that you had some sort of theme about why you're breaking down. And that's the whole reason you're asking the question. I understand that. But yeah, find an overarching theme and try to figure out where that is. For me, for example, my biggest issue, it could be small, it could be big. My biggest issue right now is that when I get close to somebody, when I'm in a box fight and I do outplay them, I end up going into their box for no reason. I just can't stop. I can't stop myself from holding my W key when I'm box fighting. I cannot stop myself from getting into the box. So I've been trying to use more window edits, right? Because that's going to force me not to go into their box. That's going to force me not to go in their box. And I've been obviously consciously paying attention to that. But like, that's a very, very obvious thing and a very specific thing. I feel like that's my biggest issue right now, but it could be way bigger. It could be way bigger than that, right? I always die in my rotates. My mid game sucks. Like, they could be very general themes, but you can target that, and all of a sudden you have a thing to attack. You have a thing to work on. Make sure you have things to work on. Small, big, large, whatever. I don't care. Make sure you have things to work on. All right, Vernacity, thank you for the submission. Appreciate that. It was a really good question. Very, very, very good question. All right, moving on.
Hey, Balla. My name is Abdul, and my question is related to early and mid-game decision-making and rotation. For me, the most difficult part of Fortnite at this stage is figuring out how I want to play the early game directly as a result of how my mid-game ends up playing out, which is dead or shambles. So do I drop hot and 50-50 everyone, or do I run scavenger routes? I would really like to test out dropping in more populated areas, particularly anywhere center zoned where I don't have to run a marathon every game. Now, I know you've answered questions regarding how to drop properly, but I still don't really understand how to go about finding a good drop spot and what makes a good drop spot good, and how to examine trade-offs between different POIs and other scavenger routes. Basically, to sum up this question, how do you really master a drop spot to give yourself the highest odds at coming out alive? Thank you in advance.
Okay. All right. Cool. So kind of a couple of different prongs of that question. I think the main one I want to talk about is the last part, which was about early game, like specifically about, like, there was very specific questions, like, do I go for a hot drop? Do I go for a scavenger route? How do I figure out which is the best hot drop? How do I figure out which is the best scavenger route? What makes something good? How do you master it? Those last couple of questions is where I want to focus, because you did talk about like mid game and how that shapes your early game and stuff like that. But we're gonna focus on the early game part of it, because I talked a lot about early game, and I think my first episode, which was more about conditioning your drop spot and how to actually perform an early game, right? It was like about having options and having backups and having escape routes and stuff like that. So I would definitely go back and watch that one with the early game. But when we talk about comparing drop spots, comparing what is good, what is bad, we can still do that. So let me start by giving the answer that I always give on stream, which is drop spots are preference. They really are preference. There are some good and bad things, but it's almost always lobby dependent, right? Loot Lake in season 9, or any Loot Lake iteration basically from the old map, was good. It was very good. It was one of the best spots on the map. But the reason why it was so good was good. It had good loot. It had really good fighting conditions. But for Zayt and Saf, for example, it's because they pushed everybody out of playing Loot Lake. Like, almost never got contested. They only got contested in the open qualifiers. But if they played customs, man, they almost never got contested. Even if they did, they had a plan that was perfect to split it. That the conditions were so good, they didn't have to worry about it. Splitting 2 versus 2 in a duo game, yeah, fine, whatever. It's still good. But if there was more than that, for example, if ESL Katowice, for whatever reason, another duo decided to go there, or another, like maybe 2 other duos decided to go there, all of a sudden, Loot Lake is not good anymore. It's not good anymore. There's nothing you convince me that would say if there are 4 duos landing Loot Lake, it's still good. No, it's bad. It's objectively bad. We all want an uncontested spot, but that's not realistic in most cases. And it's just not realistic in most cases. So yeah, it's preference. A spot could be bad depending on the lobby if a lot of people go there, but it could be good if you have another lobby and nobody goes there. So game to game, you have to kind of decide what are the triggers that make you not want to go somewhere or whatever. Obviously, you can't predict your game. You can't predict the lobby that you're going to be in an arena or in a custom game. You can do that for a situation like World Cup where you know all the players, and you will be able to do that for the Sunday FNCS finals and your heats and your in the actual finals for the FNCS. So there's differences there. But in general, for most people, nobody is playing customs where they know who they're going to be playing against and where they're going to play the same people game after game. So let's talk about how to evaluate a position in general. There's a couple things you want to look at. Loot potential. How many chests does it have? How much floor loot spawn does it have? Very, very, very obvious things that you can either go into Playground and learn yourself, or you can go to go talk to Destiny Jesus, go talk to Speedy Gonzalez, go look at their maps that they make. Go look on lootlake.info. I don't know if it's updated for chapter 2 yet, but I wish it was. Go look at that stuff. Look at the loot potential. Is it good enough for you? Is it somewhere where you're like, yeah, okay, cool. There's enough loot there. Okay, or at least write it down, right? Figure out, okay, I want to consider this spot. Here's the loot potential. I want to consider this spot. Let's look at the loot potential. Position potential is another one, right? Is it center zone? Is it edge zone? Is there a rotation option? Think about those, right? It's all a balance. It's some places are going to have more than others. Some places are going to have less than others. It's fine, whatever. Look at how many people contest on average, right? And depending on the bus route, right? Because in arena, for sure, people change based on the bus route. So look, that's huge. Look at how many people contest you on average, and are you comfortable with both the low end and the high end? There's even some cases where a spot is not good unless you can get a kill, right? Because maybe I don't know, typically it's not. Typically that doesn't exist. I don't know. That's just stupid theory crafting. But there are some people who love to play with a kill. And that comes more into effect in custom, so we won't go there. But yeah, then the other thing to think about is, how do you contest? How do other people contest? What is the best fighting style there? And are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with fighting somewhere like? I'm still using old POIs. I'm sorry about that. We'll start to get the examples from chapter 2. Oh no, you know what? Let's use examples from chapter 2. Right? Craggy Cliffs, for example, is a spot where there's basically 2 positions of strength, I would say. I'd say there's the house. No, there's the big shopping building by the pier. The big building. I think it's a restaurant or something like that. And then there's kind of the tower, the house right next to the tower. That kind of gives you a spot that you can overlook everybody else. And it has good loot, right? There is the broken down shack up on the hill. That one's okay as a positional thing, but the loot there is bad, so you could end up screwing yourself. So yeah, think about how that exactly plays out. If you can't get one of the spots that I just mentioned, are you still comfortable, right? Because I think it's kind of similar to Happy Hamlet, where there's the tower in the center that also okay, you don't land there, but you want to push there to get some sort of vision. That's important. Viking Hill in the old season was somewhere where there wasn't much. You would get your loot, you would get a base of builds, and you build for high, but you would fight so early that neither one of you guys could extend that build fight enough that it would just kind of be AR sprays or 50-50 after you build fight each other. Are you comfortable with that? Are you able to snake back through the houses and fight really, really fast? Because if you're not, don't land there. Go land somewhere like, I don't know, land somewhere else where you spend more time. Maybe like a retail row, for example, where you loot a couple houses and then fight, where you can have a full-on build fight. Full on. Maybe that's your preference. But so those are the kind of things you consider. Again, I cannot tell you what is a good spot for you. I can name some examples that you should consider, but I don't know how useful that is besides giving you false information. I recommend drop spots to people, but only because I know their play and only because I know the conditions of their games. Right? Like, for example, when I talk to, some of the pros I play with, I watch their games all the time. So I understand, I know where people are rotating. We talk about how people are rotating and stuff like that. It's very, very, very clear to me with some things. So I feel comfortable recommending them spots. But when people come into the channel, when people go into 72 Hours' channel or anybody's channel and just like, hey, where should I drop? I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Because I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about the lobbies you're playing in. I don't know anything about your skill level. So I can't recommend spots without knowing that stuff. So all I would be doing is guessing. All I would be doing is basically nothing. And giving you false hope that the spot is going to be good. So make sure you think about that. Just figure out your style. Try things. I think it's the most important part too. Try things. You talked about scavenger routes too, so we'll add that as a thing to consider. But basically, we're coming up with a bunch of criteria to make like a big table and compare things, right? Go back to school. We're going back to school. Make a table of the drop spots, compare the chest numbers, compare the positional values, compare how many average people are going there, that sort of thing. I think that is a valuable exercise for most people. And don't forget, take 2 options, please. Take 2 or 3 options. Don't just practice one spot. Take 2 or 3 options and go from there. But mastering it, you asked how do you master it? Mastering it it's not any different than mastering anything else. It's practice, 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 practice. Iterate, iterate, iterate. We talked about in the last question, make sure you are learning new things. Make sure you are fixing things. Please do that. Don't take the same path. Don't take the same path always, right? Because eventually something is no longer going to work. Try a bunch of things so that when something stops working, you can go back to something else that could work against a certain thing. I'll use the example from back when I used to play competitive. Pleasant Park was where we dropped all the time. And we came up with a strat that worked really, really well. Really, 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 really well in what we played, in the lobbies that we were playing, which was FMPL champs. They worked really well. We almost never lost a fight in Pleasant Park after a certain point, and that translated very well into TwitchCon because of the players that we faced. We ended up fighting like Envy, and we fought them pretty well. I wish we didn't fight them as much as we did, but we did fight them well, and obviously in the qualifiers, we completely dominated in Pleasant Park. But right after TwitchCon, we get in the prac court and we start playing the practice scrims, and we're fighting who were we fighting? Like Ops and somebody else. I don't know. People that we weren't used to fighting who just dominated us, just completely dominated us. And you know what we did? We ended up leaving, but we could have stuck it out. We could have come up with a new strat, a new idea that would be better against those players. But they were doing stuff that was basically completely forced us to fight against them, and they were just better mechanically than we were and better decision making than we were, that we couldn't keep up. We couldn't fight them at all. If we had maybe just switched it up and started landing in a different spot and not getting forced to do what they want to do, then we could have played. So iterate, always change things, always know that things can change depending on what you're playing, and go from there. Cool. Thank you, Abdul. Move on to the 4th and 5th question. We got 2 more. These are some interesting questions, let me tell you.
Hey, Balla. I need your help. Almost every week I change my keybinds or sensitivity because I feel it's going to improve my overall gameplay. because I see how smooth the gameplay is of other players, so I want to be as smooth as them. I practice a lot in creative 1v1, zone wars, customs, all that. I do all of those. But then every time I go in a public game, I don't mean a public game, I mean in an arena game, I feel like every guy I see, every guy I fight is like a little mongrel or a little benchy fishy, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to improve on this. I really practice a lot, not only, I'm not a creative warrior, I really want to focus myself on overall game sense, gameplay, game mechanics. So that's why I come to you, because I don't know what to do, and it's really affecting my mental health because I feel like I'm not good enough. And that's why pretty much every time I choke, because I feel like everyone is a little mongrel classic. So yeah, that's why I come to you. So I wonder if you can help me, and if so, then thank you. Sorry for bad English.
Nope. Perfectly good. Very, very, very good. Low mongrel, low Benji fishy. Merci. So, I'm just looking over this question again. Let's start with the very, very beginning, right? Almost every week I change my keybinds or sensitivity because I feel like it's going to improve my overall gameplay. All right, let's start there. No, sorry. Let's read the next sentence too. I see how smooth it is for other players, so I want to recreate that. Okay, now let's go. Let's just stop there. Let's not look at the rest of them. Let's not look at actually playing a real game. And let's start there. Because I read this, I hear this, and my first thought and my first advice is stop changing things. Stop focusing on irrelevant things about other people. It doesn't matter. I've known so many people like you, and there's pros who are like you too, who are like, oh, I need to change my sense. This guy plays low sense. I should play like him. Just stop. Really, really, please. You're going to do yourself a favor. You will do yourself a favor by stopping. A sensitivity doesn't change your skill, right? A resolution doesn't change your skill. A mouse pad, a mouse, a keyboard, none of these things change your skills. Your peripherals don't matter. Your sensitivity don't matter when you feel such a way about your own game. You feel down about your game, right? You're forcing like an unrealistic image on yourself. It's like the fashion magazines and or here, like going to the gym and you see somebody who's been at the gym for 4 or 5 years and they're super D's, they're lifting like way more than you, and you're like, why the hell can't I squat as much weight as they do? Like it doesn't work like that. You have to put in the work to get the skill. You can't just use their mouse and all of a sudden be good. So yeah, sure. All these things, they matter. Like they make up your feelings, your preference, how comfortable you are. And sure, they could probably have some optimization, but it's not going to bring you from feeling bad about your game to feeling good about your game, right? It's going to be the same no matter what. If you feel bad about your game, you're going to feel bad about your game. You use a new mouse, you're really good at the game. You use a new mouse, you use a new sensitivity, you're still going to be good at the game. I'm sorry. So please stop changing things. Stop. Just focus on one thing, yourself. Doesn't matter. And then there's the whole thing about like when you play arena, you run into people that you feel, all right, I like the wording, by the way, little mongrels, little Benji fishes. That is unhealthy too. It's the exact same thing, right? It's a I don't know what the psychology term is or whatever, but it's a mental block where you're so focused on other people and not yourself, right? If somebody better than you kills you, okay. Bring that confidence up. Figure out what you could have done better to kill them. Don't worry about how much better they were than you, or even if they were better, right? Just, you're better. You can do better. You will do better. You will improve. Forget about them. And that's kind of what leads to all these changes and stuff like that. You're seeing other people. You're seeing how good they are. But trust me, nobody is going to be Booga. Nobody is going to be Crimps, right? These guys are themselves. They're unique. You can't recreate that. You have to be your own person. You have to be your own game style, right? You can steal little things. If you want to watch, if you watch people and you see how smooth their gameplay is, don't try to. Number one, it's impossible to completely recreate somebody's style, right? It's completely impossible. What you should do is instead take little things, steal little things, make them your own, right? You see a really cool build combination that Booga does, right? Or It's Jarian puts in his video or something like that. Sure, try it out, give it a shot. Do you like it? Yeah, okay, use it. It's not working the way you thought it does. Change it. Make it your own, right? Like seriously, make it your own. It's very important. There's no person in the world that can just copy people left and right. Just think about this. Just think about all your favorite pro players and say, try to tell me that these two people are the same styles. Nope. You watch Mongrel? Nope. Nobody's Mongrel. Nobody can be Mongrel. You watch Mitro? Nobody's Mitro. Booga? Nah, man. I don't know how he gets his mouse to flick the way that he does, but nobody can do it. Nobody can do it. I don't see anybody like that. Not at all. Not at all. The only people like that I think are probably similar are people who aren't very good at the game. Right? It's the people who are beginners. Like everybody does the same thing when they're beginning. But you make your own style. People are saying genetics. It's not about genetics. It's not at all about genetics. I'm not talking genetics. I'm talking just the way that you build your own style, your own preferences, your own comfortability. Somebody said my style is getting pooped on. Yeah. Well, we'll work on it. That's why we're here, right? Okay. Thank you for the submission, Dylan. Appreciate it. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully I have taught you to stop changing your sensitivity. Okay, well, before we move on, one thing you can do. No, never mind. I was going to talk about like my LAN preparation where I change my sensitivity slightly a little bit every day, but no. Just stop. You got to build your fundamentals with a specific set of things. Don't change it. All right, moving on.
Hey Balla, what should we do if we want to get Clout in the Fortnite scene? Should we post highlight videos, challenges, or troll people? What should we do so that we get popular and get views and can move forward with our careers in competitive Fortnite?
I did not ever expect to get a question with the word clout in it. Oh boy. No, thank you for the question. I will. I when I first saw this question, I was like, is this for real? but then I actually thought about it, and whether it's real or not, Crash, whether it's real or not, there are people who have this idea that they want to get clout. They want to get this word clout. And I think we should all come to the understanding that like clout, what is that? Like, what the heck is that? It's popularity. You want to be popular. You want to put your name out there. Like, yeah, I think you have a weird goal here. Which is you. For me, for example, I want to do what I do because I enjoy doing what I do. I want to be recognized for doing good at what I do. When I was playing professionally, I wanted to be recognized for my skill, for example, not just because I wanted to be popular. So that's kind of a weird way to approach it. It's definitely a weird way to approach it. But there are people who want to get popular, and I don't know, maybe someday they'll realize that it's not about that. Life isn't a popularity contest. Life is about doing what makes us happy. And if making highlight videos and doing challenges and trolling people makes you happy, go for it. Screw it. But I also get the vibe of Stream Sniper in this. I get the vibe of Stream Sniper from the fact that you say troll people. I mean, hey, if people enjoy that content, people will definitely, definitely, I don't know, you can vibe with it, I guess. But getting noticed is a different thing. We talked about getting noticed in, I think, episode 4, I believe it was, where a young person also asked, like, oh, how do I get noticed for my skill? That was different. So we can still answer that question, right? The biggest thing is make content that people enjoy. That's going to be the thing that people will come back to you for, right? If they enjoy your content, they're going to come back. They're going to want more. They're going to be like, give me some more content, Mr. Crash. Like, I love your highlight videos. I love when you troll people. Ha 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 ha. They're going to come back. So make sure you do good stuff. Whatever you do, just make sure you do it well and then promote it, right? Use the social media platforms, use Twitch, use YouTube, use Twitter, use Instagram, promote it. Okay. And then network with people, because nobody's gonna be able to see it. And you need to get it exposed to other communities. Now, don't take this the wrong way, because I know you're about to, Crash. I know you're about to be like, oh, he told me to promote. I'm going to go to Balla's stream and say, hey, guys, watch my YouTube videos. No, please. Don't go about networking that way, please. I know you're going to do that. Please don't. Just go talk to somebody, be part of their community, and let them, if they are interested, then let them learn about you. Don't force them to learn about you. If they want, if they are interested in you genuinely, they will come and be interested in you, and they will share it with their community. Seriously. I'm 100% serious about that. Don't do that, please. It is so annoying, and it has the wrong effect. You're actually not going to get clicks. You might get one, but they're going to click and be like, haha, this is stupid. And then they're going to stop because they know your attitude was going into this. Please. Okay. I think I'm done with that question. Thank you for the submission. Appreciate it. Stop chasing Clout. Stop. All right, guys. That was that episode of Hey Ball, I have a question. Number 7. We're moving on. We'll be back next week, so get your questions in. If you're watching on YouTube, it's down below in the description. There's a link there to a Google form. If you're on Twitch, ! Hey Balla, that'll direct you to the Discord where you'll have updates about it. And also there's a section for the form where you can also fill it out. So just click on that form, record your question, link the question, and then post your name and stuff like that, and you might get picked. With that said, that's a wrap. So I'll see you guys in the next one.